stupid TV. Put something good on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be more nice.
Sorry. I promise to be more kind to you. G'day everyone, I'm Novel Wright, and welcome back to another episode of Novel News. Have you ever wanted a friend that can be with you for as long as you like, is just adorable as all heck, and even has a liking for some pretty cool music? Well, you're in luck, because I'd like to introduce you to Ace, your very own sentient TV. Well, I would introduce him, but I think his actual owner does it better.
This is Ace. He is a PVM135W Panasonic television, and a lot of you have been asking like how he works. Like if I pet him like this, how does he respond? And the answer is he's just sentient. I actually don't know how he works. He just kind of does.
Yes, today I am talking about a relatively new analog YouTube series that caught my attention about a month back, simply known as AcePosting, created by Corey Beepington. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, AcePosting is a currently small analog video series on YouTube about a man named Corey and his sentient television, Ace. It's pretty short and sweet, which is why it caught my attention and why I wanted to talk about it today. As of recording this video, there are 18 videos in the series, and I think it only makes sense to divide up the series into two parts, stopping at video 16 for part 1 and continuing with videos 17 and 18 for the beginning of part 2. You will see why I have decided to do this very shortly. Throughout the series, Corey records the different things that Ace is capable of, which honestly isn't that much realistically, and considering there's only 2 characters in this whole series so far that we can physically see, you would think that repeating the same kind of formula again and again would get old and boring very quick. Yet surprisingly, there's something about this series that keeps bringing me, and apparently a lot of other viewers, back for more Ace posting. So, while it is clear that this series isn't over, and in fact sounds like it still has a fair way to go, I wanted to try and talk about now while the first section of story is still relatively fresh in my mind. Because while looking over the 18 videos, I do believe there's an overall arching narrative, and that's what I want to talk about today. So, without further ado, here's a quick look over AcePosting so far, and what I think the overarching story could actually be about. So, the beginning of the playlist for AcePosting is interesting, because the very first video on the playlist has a claim by Corey saying that he had made a previous video regarding Ace, and it got very popular, so now he's bringing Ace back more often. What's interesting about this is the fact that, from my look through Corey's backlog of videos and shorts and even community posts, I couldn't find any previous videos regarding Ace at all. Sure, there are videos about other sentient TV characters, including one for an animated series Corey in real life is making, but that's just the thing. Those were either all animated or had nothing to do with Ace at all. So unless I missed something, I can only go by what the playlist has to show, and since this is mentioned in literally the first video, I have to deal with what I have. if anyone can show me these previous videos or whatever, that would be great. Anyway, we learned a few things from these first few videos regarding Ace and his newest owner, Corey. 1. Ace is a fairly old version of a Panasonic TV, and like I mentioned before, Corey even describes Ace's model, and even says that he doesn't know how Ace works. Ace just does work. It's honestly kind of sweet and innocent like that. 2. Apparently Ace was a gift from Corey's doctor. Yeah, in the first video, Corey says he was a gift because I don't really leave the house anymore, telling us that Ace has been with Corey for a month. Before the very first video in the playlist was shown, that is. In another video, one where Corey answers a whole lot of fan questions, he outright tells the audience who gave him Ace, and yeah, apparently it was his doctor. Corey tells us in that Q&A video, even Corey thinks it's a bit odd or peculiar that a doctor's prescription for loneliness is odd and funny. 3. Ace can apparently express different emotions apart from being permanently happy. So at first, it just seems that Ace is programmed to always be happy and pretty much accept anything Corey does with him. However, that's proven to not be the case during an early on video titled Does It Run Doom? In which, according to Corey, some people in his comments were practically demanding to see Ace try and play the game known as Doom, possibly to actually see how well Ace could play it. While the game itself does end up being playable, Ace ends up rejecting the game because he actually doesn't like the idea of killing things, and I think he even gets scared of the demons he had to face as well. This means that Ace's programming is capable of understanding the difference between good and evil, life and death, and does not like the aspect of things dying. Ace also doesn't like the movie Bambi, according to another early on video, because it made him sad when Corey tried to play it once. I'm willing to bet that they got to the Bambi's mum dying part when Ace started to feel sad, because that's another thing that involves death and guns. Number 4, Ace's range of emotions can change, and he even has favorite kinds of music. So, apart from being happy, sad, and responsive to hugs and pets, Ace can also become curious, worried, and express enjoyment too. The latter one he expresses while finding out about a type of music called nightcore, which quickly becomes his favorite genre of music. It's so sweet to see him bounce into the music happily. 5, and finally, he appears to be focused on trying to make Corey happy, but is more than glad to know that he's making Corey's audience happy as well. This kind of comes into what I want to discuss in a moment, but Corey films Ace a lot, and when he doesn't, he apologizes a fair bit during the Ace posts as well. And you can see in those times when he apologizes that Ace's face will change from being happy to actually concerned for Corey. It would seem that Ace, despite being a gift to keep Corey company, feels the compelling need to keep him happy all the time as well. I'm not sure if it was built into him from the moment the doctor gave him to Corey, or if he just got used to Corey as his new master / creator after some time together. But it's obvious that he truly does care for Corey and doesn't like disappointing Corey, which brings me nicely to what I want to discuss next. When we first meet Corey, the in-story universe version of him at least, he tells us a few things and even shows us through different means a few key factors. The first thing we are told is that he's no longer allowed to go outside. In the first video, he expressively says, after telling us the TV was a gift, that he doesn't really leave the house anymore. In the video Dressing Up My TV, he apologizes for not posting more Ace posts, something which he apologizes for a few times in the series because he hasn't been feeling too well lately. And in another video, when covering a supposed sponsored drink, we see Corey try to drink and then proceed to cough an awful lot, to such a degree that Ace even looks concerned and tries to tell Corey to breathe slowly. A lot of people thought that it was the drink that started the sickness that gets Corey for the rest of the series, but I actually believe that it started well before then. I believe that Corey quite possibly has a version of Corvidia. Well, you know what I mean. This would explain why Corey has been told to stay inside a fair bit, and why he would need someone as a companion if he is confined to his own house for however long is necessary for the disease to end. I do find it interesting that if that is the case, how long has Corey had the disease? It seems to be affecting him rather badly, and for a long time too. Considering the very first official post of AcePost was 8 months ago now, as of recording this video, that would mean that in-universe Corey has had this virus for 9 months. Possibly more, considering at some points in the video, he kind of implies that he's been sick for a long time. Now, I could be wrong about what he has, but the reasoning for why he has to stay indoors and not actually interact with other people outside of just video recordings would play nicely into this sickness idea. Which brings me to the next interesting thing. Corey has this need, this desire to please people. So one thing I noticed quite clearly during the post was that Corey really hates being late for Ace posts, or hates disappointing his friends online. Quite often he'll freak out and over-apologize for missing out on posting, afraid that he'll lose his new friends if he even misses one post. There's even a video where he practically freaks out beyond belief late at night to try and post something to please his audience because he was late that week, causing Ace himself to become worried and tell him to go to bed. Therefore, I think Corey has unfortunately developed a type of mental issue where he feels he has to prove himself to the world to keep friends around. And the moment he doesn't do something, everyone he has made friends with will suddenly hate him or leave him. Speaking as someone who kind of has this issue myself from time to time, I can see the symptoms pop up in me, and sometimes my friends see it pop up in me as well. It's not nice, because you end up self-hating or self-defeating and become even more depressed or desperate, thinking you're useless or unable to even do the simplest of things. Though we don't learn much about Corey's background, I think it's clear that he has this same mental issue, and unfortunately, he doesn't appear to have many outlets to showcase to the world, and therefore relies a lot on Ace and what Ace can do in order to fill this void that Corey feels like he needs to fill. Corey tries to fill this void by posting as many videos of Ace as he can, even if there's not much happening in those videos in the first place. The first Q&A he did literally had him showcasing Ace playing Minecraft, and all you could hear was the gameplay, and all you could see outside of that was Corey trying to answer the questions through written word and not by actual talking. Sometimes he'll do posts of just Ace listening to music, and other times he'll give Ace a bath. This is how simplistic the videos can be. Small things, but done in such a capacity that they try desperately to feel this need for satisfaction or friendship from other people. Which brings me to my final talking point. So, after 15 posts in the series over the course of 7 to 9 months, Corey finally manages to figure out how to get Ace to properly talk to the audience. Yeah, so Ace would communicate mostly through his emotions and sometimes through written text on the screen, but never had the ability to talk until video 16, titled My TV Talks. Corey creates a type of video that enables Ace to actually talk to him and us, the viewers. Cool, right? That is really, really cool. And even Ace likes the voice. At first. But if you stay until after the credits, there's a bit of a twist. Ace talks to Corey and basically tells him, "Hey bud, I like the new voice, but I would prefer to keep you happy the way I used to. That's what I'm used to, and that seems to make you happy for the most part. But if you really want me to continue talking to you like this, I may have to change myself drastically." Though that's not what Ace actually says, that's kind of the gist of it. Corey does start to act a bit insulted, assuming Ace doesn't like the voice, but then after Ace explains his point of view, Corey starts to cough and splutter so badly that he ends up actually collapsing. And during this, we get an interesting move from Ace, which I didn't quite understand at first, but I think I get it now. Ace decides to reset himself. Now, when I first saw this happen, I was very confused as to why he would do this, particularly during a severe coughing moment happening with Corey. However, now that I've had more time to think things through, I think it actually does make sense overall. It comes back to what I mentioned before. Ace reset himself so that, upon the reset, he could have the ability to properly talk already built into him. And this would potentially and hopefully help cheer up Corey more. Because that's what Ace has been programmed to do, keep Corey happy. He wants to keep Corey happy. And if that means being able to talk as well, he basically had to do a complete reset of his programming to enable that ability. Unfortunately, this also means that upon the newest entry in the series, Ace is able to talk, but he now completely has forgotten everything that Corey and himself have done together. So, what does this mean for the future of AcePosting? Well, I think it's clear that the whole purpose of AcePosting was to showcase that Corey is desperate for friends. And because he can't go outside of his home due to his sickness and doesn't seem capable of doing much more than making videos and recording Ace, he is desperate for any kind of attention from what he thinks are his friends, which is the online commenters he gets about Ace. You might ask, why doesn't he just focus on himself, do what he enjoys rather than force himself to record Ace all the time? Well, I believe it's not as easy as that. If his mentality issue is anything like my own, he won't be able to easily conquer the issue, and actually needs comforting from friends and assurance that he is a good person and useful in his own ways, which is something I've noticed is happening in the comments of his videos with some of the people. This is a good sign, but I also think that Ace is going to be pivotal in this as well, now that he has the ability to talk. The problem is, now that he has no memory of the things he's done with Corey, this could prove to be a hit on Corey's mentality as well, as Ace was a big helping key point for a long time. So where does this lead our two protagonists in the future? Well, I think in part 2 of the series, Corey is going to have to spend a lot of time dedicating effort towards helping regain Ace's memory. And what he needs now more than ever is the support and comfort from his new friends in the YouTube comments and Reddit community, especially during this hard time of his life. If he ever hopes to conquer the mentality thing I mentioned before, he'll need a lot of support from comments in the community, as now Ace is no longer an option for that, at least not for the time being. We can only hope that through Corey's actions as well as the comments supporting him and Ace, that the future is bright for these two. Of course, I could be completely wrong about all this, and this is just a sweet but odd series about a guy and his sentient TV with the cutest face you could ever see. Who knows, huh? But for now, I'm glad that I could talk about the series, and I encourage everyone to give it a look and even comment on the channel, as this may help make the series happier and end nicely too. This has been Novel Right, and I shall see you next time for Novel News. Say bye, Ace!
Goodbye, everyone.
What a cute guy. Oh yeah, and before I go, I just want to point out that there was a 19th video that was released only like 13 or so days after I finished this script, and I wanted to briefly talk about it. I won't be long. There's not a lot to discuss, but the majority of the video pretty much nails on the head what I was describing before. That even though Ace has forgotten Corey and their past together, he still wants to help Corey by allowing Corey to choose a movie, despite Corey's insistence on Ace picking one instead. In fact, Ace picked Bambi in this video, which we know from a past video that he didn't enjoy, proving that the updated Ace truly doesn't remember anything about having likes or dislikes now. I also wanted to point out that for a very brief moment after Ace asks what Corey wants, Corey says, "I want them to," at which point Ace interrupts and says, "I apologize, but that is not what I'm asking. I'd like to watch Bambi, but I'd also like to see you comfortable. You are my patient, after all." This also kind of puts into perspective the idea that, despite Corey wanting to please the audience, Ace just wants to make Corey feel comfortable more than anything else. And as one final note, Ace doesn't respond his usual way when Corey pets his head. Normally, Ace would close his eyes and smile while being pet, as if he's reacting to the petting, and it's adorable and cute and sweet. However, now that the reset has screwed with Ace's memories, this little feature has gone too. This, to me, means that Corey is going to have to work a little harder on trying to reinstate Ace's personality if he wants to get Ace back to a relatively similar state as when the two officially started. Something to consider for the future. We can only wait and see what Corey and Ace end up doing next. See you soon, everyone. Novel Right